I start sequencing or scheduling problem. First I will give definition of sequencing or scheduling problem, and then we'll define some technical terms used in sequencing or scheduling theory. After that I will explain the first paper written by S.M. Johnson, who is the father of sequencing or scheduling theory. I will explain that paper and give the rule to find the optimal sequence investigated by S.M. Johnson, and then we'll solve one numerical problem. The numerical problem I will also take the same problem which was given by S.M. Johnson. Okay, I start now. Sequencing or scheduling problem. If there are n jobs and they are to be processed on n machines, each job is to be processed in a given fixed order. Order of machine is fixed, and we have to find the order of the jobs. And for finding the order of jobs, our objective is to minimize the total elapsed time. So, a general sequencing problem can have n jobs. N is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to n, and number of machines say n, A, B, C, D. The order of machine is fixed, and we have to find the order of job or optimal sequence of jobs by which processing the jobs on m machines, the total elapsed time is minimized. The order of machine is fixed. If there are A, B, C, D, E machines, then the order of machines is A, B, C, D. That is, each job first has to go on machine A, then after its completion on machine A, it is to be processed on machine B, and after its completion on machine B, it is to be processed on C, and then after its completion on machine C, it is to be processed on machine D, and so on. And we have to find the optimal sequence. Here, optimal sequence is defined, the sequence which is minimizing the total elapsed time. The total elapsed time is nothing but it is the time between the start of first job on first machine and completion of last job on last machine. The time between these two is defined as the total elapsed time. It also includes the idle time of the last machine or other machine also. Suppose we take the case of two machines, A and B, and jobs are to be processed on the machine in the order AB. So then there are n jobs. So total number of sequences will be n factorial. But among these n factorial sequence, our objective is to find the optimal sequence, or the optimal sequence means which minimizes the total elapsed time. The total elapsed time, as I explained, is the time between the start of first job on first machine and the completion of last job on last machine. If it is a n jobs two machine problem, then it will be the time between the start of first job on machine A and completion of last job on last machine according to a given particular sequence. So now we define this elapsed time. I have defined sometime, we call this elapsed time as total elapsed time also. Idle time. Idle time is the time when a machine has to remain idle because the next job is not free to come on that machine. It is still busy on the previous machine. Then the machine has to remain idle or has to wait for the completion of the next job on the previous machine. Suppose we are taking the example of n jobs processed on two machines A and B in the order A, B. So then this idle time, suppose at any stage the B machine has finished a job, but the next job still is being processed on machine A. So the job is not free, job is not in a position to be processed or to go on the machine B. Machine B has to wait till that next job is completed on the machine A. This time for the machine B is called idle time for the machine B. And a sequence minimizes the total elapsed time only and only if the idle time on the last machine is minimized. Therefore, for minimization of the total elapsed time, we have to minimize the idle hours of the last machine. If it is a problem of two machines, we have to minimize the idle hours or total idle hours of the machine B. Now, for example, this idle time, example, this ith job, I plus 1 job. It's not necessary that I and I plus 1 are the consecutive jobs. This I may be 3, I plus 1 may be 5. I plus 1 means the next job which is to be processed after I on the machines A and B. So now if ith job is starting on machine A at hours 20, completed 23 hours, and then B machine can take this job I on 23 because it is free now from machine A. And suppose the processing time on ith job for machine B is 4 hours, then the completion time will be 27, 23 plus 4, 27. And here the processing time of I job on machine A is 3. But machine A is taking this ith job at 20 hours, then its processing time 3. This job I will be completed on machine A at 23 and immediately it will go on machine B for processing. And if 4 is the processing time of I job on machine B, then starting at 23, it will be completed at 27. And then A machine is free at 23. It can take the next job for processing at 23, there is no problem. If next job has processing time 6 hours say on machine A, it will complete the next job at 29. And now you check here that machine B is free at 27 hours, but the next job is available to be processed on machine B at 29, because up to 29 I plus 1 job is being processed on machine A. So therefore the I plus 1 job will be available to be processed on machine B at 29 hours. And suppose this I plus 1 job has 5 hours for processing on machine B, to 29 to 34. So you see here machine B has idle hours 27 to 29 because it is finishing I job at 27, but I plus 1 job is not available at 27. It is busy on machine A up to 29. So machine B will take this I plus 1 job at 29 after remaining idle 27 to 29. So this is the idle hours, and this idle hours can have been in a sequence at many places. I have given this one place. So total elapsed time here you have to note is minimized by minimization of idle time of last machine. Now assumptions. used in sequencing problem. If we are taking sequencing of n jobs on n machines, first assumption, each job once started on a machine, it is to be performed up to its completion on that machine. Whenever a job is started on a machine A or B or C, so it will continue to be processed on that machine till its completion. Second, processing time on each machine is known. Processing time is known and it is of deterministic. It is deterministic, not probabilistic. The time taken by each job in changing over from one machine to another machine. Suppose a job is finished at 12 hours on machine A, then it will be immediately started for processing on the next machine, that is B. There is no time gap from a job after its completion on one machine and the start of processing on the second machine. There is no time gap. This was the assumption taken by Johnson and most of the researchers in the sequencing and scheduling theory. But Dr. P.L. Magoo, I was giving reference of P.L. Magoo in my last lecture. He also discussed a sequencing problem in which there is a time gap. After the completion of a job on one machine, it takes time to be transported to the second machine. And in that way he discussed a sequencing problem including transportation time. Suppose there be a problem of sequencing of n jobs or n books, they are to be printed and binded. Printing one machine, binding another machine. After printing, a job or a book can go for binding only and only if its printing is finished. But if by the way printing machine is there in Addis Ababa and binding machine is in Arbaminch, so then we have to consider the job transportation time from Arbaminch to Addis Ababa. But that problem was taken by Dr. P.L. Magoo and some of his research scholars. They have discussed or developed or defined many kinds of sequencing including transportation time, including myself. I have also done work on that. But here we are taking that the time of transportation of jobs from one machine to another machine is negligible. Then no machine may process more than one job at a time. Only one job can be processed at a time on a machine. And then here one definition, number of machines. It refers to the number of service facilities through which a job must pass. Actually, this sequencing problem has its applications in industry where the production is done in stages. Stage first production, then second, then third. So stage production problem. Now, in 1953, S.N. Johnson wrote a paper, first paper in the history of sequencing, or we can say this sequencing and scheduling problem was defined by S.N. Johnson in 1953, and then his paper was published in 1954 in England. Yes, this is the abstract written by S.N. Johnson. In his paper in 1953, the first paper in sequencing and scheduling, which was published in 1954 in England. The abstract is each of a collection of items are to be produced. This is the original abstract written by S.N. Johnson in his paper under the title Optimal 2 and 3 stage production schedules with setup times included. So here on two machines are stages, each machine can handle only one item at a time, and each item must be processed through machines 1 and then through machine 2. The setup time and work time for each item for each machine is known. Actually, after Johnson, it is only taken as to be the processing time, and it is understood that processing time is including the setup time and the work time. Johnson also defined it like this. A simple decision rule is obtained in this paper for optimal scheduling. To find the optimal sequence, a very simple rule has been investigated by S.M. Johnson for optimal scheduling of the production so that the total elapsed time is a minimum. A three-machine problem has also been discussed by S.M. Johnson in this paper, but three-machine problem has been discussed, or a rule for three machine has been found for a restricted form or for a restricted case. For a general three machine problem, still there is no method available. It is a challenge to the whole world researchers that still a general three machine sequencing or scheduling problem rule has not been found. Special cases, Johnson also did it in special cases, other authors are also doing it in a special cases subject to satisfying the conditions imposed on processing times. Johnson also did. After Johnson also, no general solution for three machine sequencing problem is available. Some authors try to do it through branch and bound algorithm, but that method is very lengthy and not useful. That is very, very lengthy. In some cases it is so much lengthy. If you take 4 jobs problem and there are total number of sequences factorial 4, and then you find the total elapsed time for all the factorial 4 sequences and then select the minimum elapsed time sequence. It takes a small time, but branch and bound algorithm takes more time. So that is why branch and bound algorithm is not so much useful. Now the two-stage production schedule. This is also the part of the paper published by S.M. Johnson. Let us consider a typical multi-stage problem. This is the same thing that as it was written by S.M. Johnson. Let us consider a typical multi-stage production problem formulated in the following terms by R. Bellman. Before this, S.M. Johnson only this R. Bellman defined not in a good way, but he defined anyhow a sequencing problem. So now the problems taken or defined by S.M. Johnson is this: there are n items which must go through one production stage or machine, and then a second one, and then a second one. There is only one machine for each stage. So here a production problem in which the job first go on first machine and then on the second machine, and then Johnson and most of the authors in sequencing and scheduling theory have taken that there is one and only one machine of one kind. If it is printing machine, there is only one machine. If it is binding machine, it is only one machine. But in one of my research paper, I will give you some time. I have discussed the case. Suppose it is printing and binding machine. Printing hours of a book is very more in comparison to the binding hours. So instead of putting one machine for printing, we can use more than one machine, identical machine for printing. So I have published that paper that if a machine, but we have a type, not only one machine, we have more than one machine, and we can distribute the processing time for, say, for printing to different machines of the same kind. So in that paper I have joined the allocation problem to sequencing problem. So in that I have discussed the case that first machine is not only one, there is more than one machine doing the same work. And I have defined them as M machines with equipotential machine like that. So anyhow, but Johnson has taken this first machine, first type machine only one, second type machine only one. And most of the researchers, or all the researchers in this world, have discussed by taking, if it is a M machine problem, A type machine 1, B type machine 1, C type machine 1, and so on. But I discussed, or I published a paper in which I have done that if there is the situation that processing time on machine A type is very more in comparison to the processing time on machine B. So in such a situation we can employ more than one machine of type A. So I have published that paper. But anyhow, it is there that machine A is of A kind of machine is only one, B kind of machine only one. Now also, one item can be on a machine at a given time. Then consider two n constants, A, I and B, I. I is equal to 1 to n, 2n constants. Johnson talking like that. Or we can say there are 2n processing times. There are positive, these are positive but otherwise arbitrary. Let AI be setup time plus work time. Or we can say AI is the processing time of I job on machine A. Johnson is saying it to be setup time plus work time of ith machine on the of ith item on the first machine, and BI corresponding time on the second machine, or BI is the processing time of job I on machine B. Here processing time means it is including the setup time and the work time. We seek our problem. This is given by Johnson. We seek optimal scheduling of items, minimizing the total elapsed time. So the problem or the objective of that sequencing problem was to find the optimal sequence, and optimal sequence means which minimizes the total elapsed time. And minimization of total elapsed time depends on the minimization of total idle hours. If we minimize the total idle hours of the last machine, then total elapsed time is automatically minimized. So in this paper, Johnson investigated a very simple rule. Job J precedes job J plus 1. Job J precedes job J plus 1, and you don't think that J and J plus 1 can be only consecutive jobs. You can take any job, suppose J is third job, J plus 1 is fifth job, and then you can apply the rule on those two jobs. If minimum of AJ, job J precedes means job J should be done before J plus 1. If minimum of AJ, BJ plus 1 is less than minimum of AJ plus 1, comma BJ. And this ordering also transitive. That is why if what is transitive property, if some relation is occurring between two situations 1 and 2, it is also occurring between 2 and 3, then it should occur between 1 and 3. It should imply that the same relation also occur in between 1 and 3. So that is transitive property. And this ordering also transitive. Now I am giving example. Suppose J job, a job in the sequencing problem, we designate it by J. It has processing time on machine A 10 and on machine B 19. And in this combination of two jobs, the next job has 20 processing time on machine A and 17 processing time on machine B. You should not think that if this is 7, this is 8. No, it can be 7, it can be 9. It can be 9, it can be 10. In the sequence, it is a combination of two jobs. So if they are like this, now AJ is 10, BJ 19, AJ plus 1 20, BJ plus 1 17. So here minimum of AJ, BJ plus 1 is equal to minimum of 10, 17 is equal to 10. And minimum of AJ plus 1, this 20. And minimum of AJ plus 1 and BJ is 19. So minimum of 20, 19 is 19. So therefore minimum of AJ, BJ plus 1 is less than minimum of AJ plus 1 comma BJ. So it means this job should be done before this job. And using above rule, if you apply this rule again and again, so then a very simple rule can be found, or Johnson investigated a very simple rule to find the whole of the optimal sequence which minimizes the total elapsed time. So using above rule, there is extremely simple practical way of ordering the items in steps. Now the first step is Jack Johnson has given, and nowadays people are also using that notation. First we have to list all the to-and processing times for machine A and for machine B, and processing time in two vertical columns. So now I will show you how to-and constants are given, or to-and processing times are given for two machine sequencing program, and constants of processing times for machine A and processing times of constants for machine B. Then Johnson Johnson has given in his paper. Then in the first step you have to list all A's and B's in two vertical columns, or processing times of machine A and B we have to write in two vertical columns like this: A, B. Here jobs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3, A4, B4 and so on, AN, BN. And then in the step second, he has given, or he has written in step second, that scan all the processing times for scan all the processing time for short test 1. It means we have to find the shortest processing time among all processing times on machine A and on machine B. Among all AIs and BIs, we have to find, or we have to select the minimum processing time, and we write a table showing n places. and place it. Then step second is this: scan. I am explaining only. Scan all the processing time for shortest one. So in step 2 you will find the minimum of all processing times on machine A and B, or the shortest processing time. Then in step 3, you have to check whether this minimum processing time is occurring for machine A or for machine B. If the minimum processing time is occurring for machine A, so then place that job at the first place. Suppose A3 is the minimum processing time among all, so that third job is to be placed in the first place. And if, by the way, A3 is not minimum of all processing time, so say it be B4 or B3, even if B3, so then the third job is to be placed in the last cell. It is to be done in the last. So therefore, in this rule, work is start from both the ends toward middle. So we find the minimum of all processing time, and then we check whether it is for machine A. If it is for machine A, do that job first and you fill the job number over here. And if it is for machine B, then fill that job number. Suppose B7, it is the 7th job but for machine B, so that job should be done in the last. So we have to write here 7. And now from this, if we have used say third job, it was fixed at first place or the last place, we have to cross this one, and then for remaining number of jobs we have to repeat the procedure. We have to repeat the rules until all the places in this table are filled. If there are 9 jobs, it will have 9 columns. If 10 jobs, 10 columns. If 4 jobs, 4 columns. And we have to fill all the cells, we can say, or all the columns. So the sequence obtained in such a way is the optimal sequence which minimizes the total elapsed time. Again, first you have to write processing times in 2 vertical columns. Then in second step, you have to scan all processing times for the shortest one. If the shortest processing time occurs for machine A, then you have to put it here in first place, and then if it occurs for machine B, you have to put it here, and then the remaining number of columns are to be filled by remaining number of jobs using the same thing. Then again you will select, or you will find the minimum of all processing jobs, excluding that which are already used. So if that second shortest time, we can say, occurs for first machine, that job number should be filled over here, or if it is for second machine, then it should be placed in the last job available in the table. It will be clear to you, but I will take one numerical example. Now, so this is the procedure, very simple procedure, and this procedure depends only on this rule. This rule. He has given the proof in his paper. Now I take one numerical example, and that numerical example is the same as taken by S.N. Johnson in his paper published in 1954, or we can say the first paper in this world on sequencing or scheduling problem. The example is this. So we have written, or he has given this example by writing all the processing times for 5 jobs in 2 vertical columns. AI processing time of job I on machine A, BI processing time of job I on machine B, and I is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let us apply the rule or the method given by Johnson. There are 5 jobs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what is the minimum or the shortest processing time among all processing times for machine A and B? This is 1. 1 is the shortest or the smallest processing time, but it occurs for machine B, not for machine A. So therefore, that the job or the corresponding job 2 must be placed in the last column. This is 2. And now this, you can cross it. And then again we have to find the smallest processing time among the remaining number of jobs or remaining number of processing times on machine A and B. You check now what is the minimum of all processing times. It is 2, but 2 is occurring for machine A, not for B, and the corresponding job is 5. So therefore this 5th job is to be placed in the first cell or in the first column, or because it is smallest among all processing times, our remaining number of processing times after cancelling processing time for job 2, and it is occurring for machine A, so it should be placed in the first place in the table. So now we have used this also. Now you check. Now we have to find the processing times for the remaining number of jobs 1, 3 and 4. 1, 3 and 4 are the remaining number of jobs. 1 and 5 have already been fixed in the table, placed in the table, or we can say. So now among processing times of job 1, 3 and 4, 4 is the shortest processing time. Shortest processing time is 4. But here it is occurring for machine A. Here it is occurring for machine B. So therefore there is no tie. Tie will be there if it is the minimum processing time for machine A and it is for job 1, job 3 also. Now there is no tie. This job processing time is minimum and it is for machine A. That is why it should be placed in the first place or the column available in the table. So first column available in the table is this one. First column. but it is occurring for machine B. So it should go in the last cell available. Last cell does not mean this. Last cell is now this one. This is 3. So now this is 1 finished, 3 finished. So now only one job is remaining to be filled in the table, and one column is there only, so this is 4. So therefore 5, 1, 4, 3, 2. 5, 1, 4, 3, 2 is optimal sequence. This sequence will be giving us or will give you the minimum elapsed time. So now let us calculate the elapsed time for this sequence 5, 1, 4, 3, 2. Here A machine, B machine, and job is 5, 1, 4, 3, 2, and here it is in means start of this job on machine A, out means completion of this job file on machine A. Similarly, B in means start of job file on machine B, out means completion of job file on machine B, and similarly for 1, 4, 3, 2. Now job number 5. Suppose the machine A starts working at 0 hours. 0. What is the processing time of job 5? Job 5 processing time is 2 hours on machine A. So if machine A is starting at 0 hours, it will complete this job number 5 at 2. And now machine B will remain idle from 0 to 2 hours because there is no job available for machine B, because this sequence is fixed for machine A and B both. There can be different sequence for A and different sequence for B. No, it is not there. If a job 5 is done first on machine A, it should be done first on machine B. So machine B will take this job number 5 at 2. And what is the processing time of job 5? On machine 2 it is 3. So starting at 2 and plus 3 more hours, so it will be completed at 5 hours. Then for machine A is free at 2. And now see job number 1. What is the processing time of job number 1 on machine A? It is 4. But machine A starts to process job number 1 at 2, and it will complete 2 plus 4 as 6. So now you check here. Machine B is free at 5, but the next job is not available at 5. That job is still busy on machine A. So therefore, machine B will remain idle from 5 to 6, and it will take job number 1 at 6. And what is the processing time of job number 1? For machine B it is 5. 6 plus 5, it is 11. So it is the idle hours that I have already defined. Machine B has to wait for the next job. Machine B is free, but job is not free. Job is still busy on machine A. So then machine B has to wait, or machine B has to remain idle till the next job is available for its processing on machine B. Here this job is available at 6 to be processed on machine B. 6 and processing time of job 1 for machine B is 5. And now machine A is available at 6, no problem. 6. Fourth job, the processing time on first machine it is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12. And now again you see, machine B is free at 11, but next job is not free. Next job will be free here by 12. So the machine B will remain idle from 11 to 12, or will wait 11 to 12 for the next job to be processed. So it is available. It is available on 12 hours. And what is the processing time of job 4? Processing time of job 4 for machine B or machine B is 30. 12 plus 30 is 42. And now third job, machine A is available at 12, and third job processing time for machine A is 42. 42. Now there is no problem. B machine is free at 42, and the next job is also available at 42. So therefore it will be there 42, and third machine processing time is 4. So 42 and 4, 46. And now this is 42. Second job is 4, 42 and 4, 46. And then again machine B is free at 46, job is also available at 46, then 46, and 1 is processing time, this is 47. So the total elapsed time or the time between start of first job does not mean job number 1. It depends on the sequence that you are using at that time. Here in the definition, start of first job at first machine, this is the 5th job, and then finishing or completion of last job on the last machine, completion of second job on the last machine. So this is the 47 hours. 47 hours total elapsed time. So you check here. If this job was available at 2, machine B also available at 2, it can start the job at 2. There is no time gap. But Dr. Magdu explained in that very paper, transportation time, introduction of transportation time sequencing problem. He defined or explained that sometimes it's not possible that the completion time of a job in one machine or first machine can be the same time as the start of that job on the second machine. If they are not, machine A is at one place, machine B is at another place. So then in that case, after the completion of this job 5 on machine A, it will take some time to reach at the place of the machine. So in that very paper, he has included that very transportation time. So this is now without transportation time. It is given, it is the assumption of Johnson, and also more of the, after Johnson also, almost all the research workers in sequencing scheduling theory, they are taking this time, transportation of job from one machine to another, as negligible. So in this very problem it is also taken to be negligible. Once a job is free from machine A, it is immediately ready to be processed on machine B. There is no time gap. And for this sequence, which is obtained by applying the Johnson rule, the optimal sequence is 51432 and the total elapsed time 47. Johnson also given in his paper that if you take the sequence 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, this sequence by reversing the order, then the total elapsed time you can calculate. You calculate that total elapsed time for this sequence, and the total elapsed time is for this total elapsed time is equal to 78 hours. So you can check, this is 47, but another sequence is giving 78 hours. And if you have to pay, for example, the cost per hour for processing or for machine remaining idle, you have to pay the cost. So then naturally that sequence which is here optimal will be giving us the minimum cost, and other sequences will give or will be having the more cost, because you can check the difference 47 and then 78. If you have to pay the money to the operator working on the machine, then according to this you have to pay the worker or the technician working on the machines for 47 hours only, but here for 78 hours. So this is the Johnson rule or the Johnson method, which is very, very simple. In his paper he has given the proof also. So this rule is very simple, and applying that rule, the method also is very simple, that you have to find, again I repeat the procedure, you have to find the shortest processing time among all processing times. If that shortest processing time occurs for first machine, do that job first. If it occurs for second machine, do that job for second, and then you have to repeat the procedure until all the columns in the table are filled. And what about the tie? Tie is there. Suppose it was 4, there was no tie. If 4 is the minimum processing time for machine A and for job number 1, again 4 is here, say by the way, and it is also minimum. 1 is not there, it is also minimum, and it is for second job. So then there is a tie. 4 is minimum, say by the way, minimum processing time. This 4 also minimum processing time, but this 4 is occurring job number 1. This occurring for job number 2, but both are for machine A. So then there is a question, it is a tie, we should place this job number 1 first or job number 2 first. So we can take our decision arbitrarily. In case of this type of tie, you can fill first place by this job number 1 or first place by job number 2, and so on. So this is about Johnson procedure. You will calculate the total elapsed time using this sequence, and will see that total elapsed time is 78 hours. And then in my next lecture I will solve 1 or 2 problems on 2 machine sequencing problem with n jobs, and then explain the Johnson rule or the rule investigated by Johnson for 3 machine sequencing problem, of course with n jobs, but in a restricted condition. There are the conditions to be satisfied or to be imposed on processing times to be satisfied. If those conditions will be satisfied, then we can apply the Johnson rule, otherwise not. For a general sequencing problem, no procedure available up to now except branch and bond algorithm, and one method also explained by Gupta, you can check on internet, but that method is also not of very much importance. So this is about this Johnson method for two machine problem. In my next lecture, I will take some numerical examples and then we will explain this processing of n jobs on 3 machines. Okay, thank you.